much content. And as you can see by today's title, I am bringing you something different. I am bringing you some breakfast ASMR, some baking, and a little mini book haul, the 3 Bs. And I thought it would be super fun to film the mini book haul that I have while I'm making myself a little mug cake. So I will be filming myself making a mug cake in this cute Official Plant Mom mug. I have my egg and all my little ingredients kind of portioned out here that I'll show you in a second. And then I want to go over the 2 books that I recently hauled. And it was a little bit disappointing going to the bookstore because there was a book I really wanted that I could not find because I ended up going to Second and Charles. But I will show you some footage of me browsing the store, and then I'll let you know the book that I did want and why I wanted it. But without further ado, let's jump straight into today's video. Let's jump straight in. I definitely want to talk to you about a book I recently finished. I think I finished it yesterday or the day before yesterday, and that is going to be The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Book number 3 in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Now, book number 1 just kind of took the cake for me. It was amazing. I believe that one was called The Lightning Thief. Yeah. The Lightning Thief was book number 1, Sea of Monsters book number 2, and then The Titan's Curse book number 3. So now book number 1 just grabbed my attention. I mean, his writing was amazing. It was the first audiobook that I listened to that was middle grade. I feel like the narrator just took made it perfect. His voice matches Percy perfectly. The way he changed his voice with the different characters, it was just lovely. So then I had high hopes. Going into book number 2, I ended up giving it a 4-star, I think. And that one was The Titan's Curse. It just kind of, was that one The Titan's Curse? No, that was The Sea of Monsters. It just kind of fell short towards the end. And then I went to The Titan's Curse, book number 3, the one I just finished. And you guys, it sucked. I'm not gonna lie, like the first maybe hour into listening to it, I really liked it. But then as it got on, it just lost my attention. It drug on. It was like a lot happening that I didn't feel like added to the story. Like it was just very wordy, although it's an audiobook. And I actually DNF'd it and decided I was gonna be done with this series. Like, I cannot do this right now. And then a couple days ago, I was like, no, finish the audiobook. See what you think about it. And honestly, the last hour was really good. I enjoyed it. I feel like it left on a really high note, a very pivotal point in the series to where book number 4 should come in really strong and really grab my attention. So I did start book number 4, and that is The Battle of the Labyrinth. And I started that today, actually. Yeah, I'm about a half hour to an hour in, and it's good so far. I feel like he's really taking the characters and giving them a little bit more of mystery to them. I feel like Annabeth, for example, she was very one way throughout the first 3 books, and now it's like you're kind of not sure of where you're going to see her in this book going into the 5th book. So I'm really excited to say that I'm almost done with the series. I definitely recommend listening to it via audiobook just because the way that the author talks, and the way his voice goes and how he just describes things and how he kind of brings the character to life in the way that he views it versus how you would think maybe Rick Riordan wanted the character to sound, or the way he wanted the sentences to be read and how the person's voice went. I just really love how the narrator just brought the character to life. I definitely think if I would have read the books, I probably would not have gotten as interested in the characters or fell in love with the characters as much, just because the changing of the voices and different things, it just adds so much to the story. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. I'll definitely keep you guys posted as it goes on. And then what else have I started? I am still finishing book number 2 of The Land of Stories. I'm super slow with that book. I like it, but the fairy tales kind of got just a little hunky-dory for me, so I put it down, but I'm over halfway done with that book. I think 75% done. So when it's done, there will be a book review, because that series I want to go book by book because I've been tabbing it. But yeah, I've been loving that so far as well. And then I think that's it for anything like new that I've kind of hopped on, as you guys did see a while ago. And this is just a bowl of almond flour and the King Arthur's keto blend, because although I like eating carbs and I will eat carbs because I work out, I do like to have every now and again things that are lower in carbs. So this is some sweetener, some almond flour, and the King Arthur keto flour, which is like packed full of protein. So I have that in here. It's quite a lot. I might not eat the whole mug cake, or maybe I will. Then I have the Quest baking protein powder. So this is just plain, like there's no flavor to it. It's not a certain thing. I'm just gonna pop that in. I didn't really measure anything. And then I have some baking powder, because when you're cooking keto and you're using almond flour, baking powder is your friend. For whatever reason, when those two things intermingle with one another, it just blossoms and it fluffs up and it turns into like something. Then I have some cocoa powder, unsweetened. And then I have here a little thing of some sugar-free chocolate chips that I'll eventually put in, as well as I'm making this into a lava cake. And you can do this with peanut butter. You can probably do it with like hazelnut spread, Nutella. You can probably do it with jam, maybe a few other things. But I like using this Lecco Belgian dark chocolate spread, and it's really good. It doesn't really taste like Nutella, and the texture and the consistency is a bit, I don't want to say gummy, but it's sticky. It's not like how Nutella is like creamier. This is a little bit more sticky and it holds together. So I think that's why it does really nice as like a lava cake. And then we have a little vanilla that I never measure. I just go based on what I think works. So I'll put a little bit of that in and try not to make a mess. Over here on the coffee table, we do have some tissues. And then we have an egg, and all you're gonna need is the egg white. I could be more graceful, but I don't think it matters. I might need a little bit of like moisture or liquid in there. So I'm just gonna take a fork. I know this is a little bit like ghetto and it's getting everywhere, but this is how it's looking. I might need a little bit of moisture, so I might add a little bit of water, or like half and half, or almond milk, or that's probably what I'm gonna need, because I think I did too much flour. All right, so let's pop it in the microwave. Now while the mug cake is baking, I thought it'd be really nice for you guys to see some of that breakfast ASMR. All right, our mug cake is done and literally steaming. Look at all the chocolate chips. I did put them on top. They're all melty. It's hot and it's humongous. I obviously made too much. I will definitely save some, but let's try it on camera. It's hot. For the sake of filming, I thought to just eat it right after. Usually I put it in the refrigerator and let it cool off a little bit, but you know. Chocolate might not be the best thing to film on camera because like my teeth. I'm gonna let it cool off because it's super hot. And let's get into the rest of this video, which is gonna be the book haul. So you guys saw the breakfast ASMR, you saw me bake a little brownie mug cake. Now let's get into the book haul. Now, like I said, I was going to Second and Charles and I had one book in mind. If you guys remember, I'm not sure if I posted it on my YouTube channel, but several months ago, like last year in the fall, I was reading The Priory of the Orange Tree. And basically it's about like training to become, like there's people trained to become dragon riders. There are people who like worship dragons, who hate the dragons, like the East versus the West. So it's like a lot of war. And it felt very broad for me. It felt like a book where you have to really know fantasy. You have to have read fantasy so much. And honestly, when I read that book, I had only finished the Ash Princess series, a couple middle grade books that were fantasy. Yeah, because I didn't read Assassin's Blade till after that. So like I hadn't read that much fantasy. I was reading a lot more historical fiction and romance and psychological thrillers. So for me, it felt very big and it felt like there was a lot going on to remember and different names and worlds and just areas. It was just too much. And then I felt like more and more as I got into the book, there were themes in the book that I didn't like. And for me, I'm not gonna read. So I was trying to search to kind of find a book similar to that. So when I was looking on Goodreads, I was able to come across the book called Fourth Wing. And I came across it randomly while scrolling on Goodreads. I'm not really sure what led me to this book, but it is by Rebecca Yarros. It's about a group of individuals at a college, it looks like, who are becoming these dragon riders. It's some type of like competition, just like in the Priory of the Orange Tree, where they're training to become a dragon rider. There also looks like there's less dragons than humans. That means they might have to go against each other in the sake of like getting a dragon and actually landing one. So that's really exciting. And so that's what I wanted to pick up when I went to Second and Charles, but they did not have that book there. I could not find it. So unfortunately, I could not pick it up. Instead, as you can see, some of the footage I'll post here on the screen, and as well as like just some of the footage of me browsing, I was able to find An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. And first of all, the front of it is really nice. I really like the second book's cover, which you guys will see, and this was only $4.95, and it's a pretty big book in really good condition. But this I wanted to pick up because it seemed interesting enough, and although it didn't match this book at all in any way, shape, or form, it just seemed like a really good story that I would like. And then I also just love the spacing of the words because I have glasses and the small words just kind of get me. But the back of it says, Lilia is a slave, Elias is a soldier, and neither is free. So yes, I haven't read too much more of that in the back. I kind of base it all off the cover in the front. I definitely do judge books by their cover. But yeah, I'm super excited to read this. Let me know down below if you have read it and what you thought about it. But this is a fantasy book, and I will definitely read you at least what Goodreads gives as its like genre. But this is fantasy, YA. There's some romance, dystopia, high fantasy, magic, adventure. So definitely something that I would really like and enjoy. Currently, if you guys have not seen my last video, which was Coffee and Conversation with Sarah J. Maas, that book is on the Throne of Glass series. So I just finished Assassin's Blade, and well, not just finished, like a couple months ago, and now I'm diving into the Throne of Glass. I love it. I'm getting through that book. I cannot wait to eventually post another one of those little Coffee and Conversations with Sarah J. Maas for you to kind of update you on my thoughts on the book. But I'm loving it. And so I thought, why not pick up something else that doesn't follow the same line as that series, because I like fantasy. And sometimes you kind of feel like with fantasy, the books kind of all run together. They follow that similar kind of, direction that they all do, but reading this one and picking it up, it just definitely seems like it's a little bit different. So I am excited to read it eventually, but I will link it down below for you guys. And then to go into the last book, only halt 2 this time, and that is going to be Rick Riordan's The Lost Hero, book number 1 in the Heroes of Olympus. And I wanted to pick this up because I was finishing book number 3, The Titan's Curse, of his other series, and it just kind of made me feel like if I didn't end up liking it because I wasn't done yet, I think I had about an hour left when I restarted it, I said, why not pick something up physically from him and start to read it? Maybe that'll spark my joy. But then I ended up finishing the audiobook and kind of liked it and started book number 4. But I also picked this up because I don't have any of Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I don't have any of those physical books. I've literally only listened to it through audiobook. When I finish, I'll buy the whole set, but I thought, why not start collecting some really used and worn books from this author, because I think his writing is really fun and exciting. I love that it's middle grade. I love that it's adventurous. I love that it's easy to immerse yourself in. It's not too much happening in a sense of where, like, for example, The Priory of the Orange Tree, or a book by, like, who do I have on my shelf? Like Brandon Sanderson. Like, those are really broad and intense fantasy books, whereas this is like, you can grasp it, you know, you can take hold of it and be like, oh, I got that, that was nice. So I was really excited to pick this up, and this book was only $4.55, again, in really nice condition. So you guys should definitely check out Second and Charles if you have it in your area. I highly recommend. The books are always in really good condition. They're really cheap. You can get so many for such a small price. But yeah, that's going to kind of conclude this little mini book haul, the mug cake brownie baking, as well as the breakfast ASMR. But stay tuned for Wednesday, because I will be uploading the 2nd episode in the Coffee and Conversation, and this time it'll be with James Patterson. So I love psychological thrillers. I love mysteries. I love all of that type of stuff. My favorite TV shows are like Live PD when it was out. On Patrol Live is what it's called now. I love like serial killer stuff. I love real life, like ER in the life. I think it's, there was an ER show on Netflix. Actually, I watched both seasons from the really big hospital in New York City. They showed it during the pandemic and then after. I absolutely love that. Extremist, I think, is also on Netflix. There's a couple other like documentaries on like hospital and different things like that. Something about all of that interests me, and it really boggles my mind that I didn't go to school for like becoming a doctor or be like a forensic psychologist or like a detective or a police officer, because it really like interests me so much. So usually when I watch shows, I'm watching something that's legitimately real, not reality TV or not like just a random show. So I thought, why not pick up one of James Patterson's book? I've heard so many things about him. My mom rants and raves about him, and I've never read any of his work. I really love psychological thrillers, so I thought, why not pick up one of his? So that is going to be the authors that I'm going to be talking to in my next episode of Coffee and Conversation. And I'm going to be reading Coast to Coast Murders. I will also link that down below with the other 2 books in this haul, as well as Fourth Wing for you guys, so that you can pick them up if you want to. But I do hope that you guys really enjoyed the last video. It was my first video back since coming back onto YouTube. It's been a minute, but I love it. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna keep posting and just do what makes me happy, and I hope it brings you some joy. But if this video sparked any joy for you, please do not forget to give it a thumbs up and hit your notification bell so you can get notified every single time I post a video. And subscribe to my YouTube channel and join the Bookish fam, because we're so nice and we have so much fun together. And without further ado, I will catch you